Who is Honkai Star Rail's best limited sustain? That's what I aim to discuss with you today. My name is Juice, and let's get into it. This idea mostly came to mind since it feels like the sustain meta, despite being one of the most consistent aspects of HSR's overall meta, has experienced some shifts here and there, not to mention that Hyacine came out not too long ago, and she's as busted as ever, and if you want to try her out, she's on banners right now, but where can you go to afford cheaper Stellar Jades? Good news, Loot Bar is here to help us out. Loot Bar is a splendid service which can offer you cheaper Stellar Jades compared to the official prices shown in-game. Look at this comparison between the official cost and the Loot Bar cost. New users get a wonderful 10% off, and the prices are up to 25% cheaper compared to the official channel. Loot Bar is a fully safe service, and has countless positive reviews, but how does it actually work? Allow me to show you. First, input your UID. That's right, you need no login information whatsoever. Choose your desired package, and then look at that, more Stellar Jades for me. This is all legit since the site uses a VPN, which is how they cheapen the Stellar Jades, and official top-up methods are used. Check out Loot Bar today to save on all your gacha needs. When I say sustain, I mean both healers and shielders. Also, while I'm going to be focusing on only limited sustains throughout this video, I'm still going to include Gallagher and Xuan. This is because Gallagher is so good that he may as well be on par with all of the limited sustains. And Xuan only became a standard banner character recently. I'm also going to be assuming all of these units at E0 as 0. I'm not including limited light cones, because most people don't pull light cones or eidolons for their limited sustains. So this is a free-to-play based evaluation, but I'll consider Gallagher to be at E6. Alright, cool, let's go. Starting off with Luocha. He was dead there for a while, and I don't necessarily think that's because his kit got any worse over time. It's just that his heals weren't all that important for quite some time. We had access to better sustains that were able to do more. So he wasn't all that important in the meta for quite some time. He wasn't some abhorrently bad unit or anything, there just wasn't any particular reason to go for him. But now that we're neck deep into the Amphorius patch cycle and we've gotten a whole ton of HP scalers that really want to be played with healers, Luocha's seen a bit of a resurgence. Healers are now in demand again, so he's honestly gained a little bit of relevancy. Even I've picked him up again in recent months after having not used him for ages. He genuinely revived from the ashes. He's very skill point efficient, but you're typically going to be using him with very skill point efficient DPSs anyway, but with that being said, it's still a nice little aspect to him. Not to mention how his skill provides consistent cleansing, and he's a pretty good emergency healer. He's also able to provide some crowd control resist, which is nice. There's not really any particular team where he's especially good or especially bad, he's just a really good generalist, and it just so happens that healers are more in demand than ever right now. Especially if you're trying to play 2 DPSs on either side of your endgames that both want a good healer. I'd say he's B tier right now in terms of limited sustain value. He's not some insane standout character, but he's definitely nice if you have him. I wouldn't go out of your way to go and get him if you don't already have the guy, nor would I spend your free 5-star on him if you haven't already used that yet. But he's certainly serviceable. Then we move on to Hyacine. She's an offensive healer, so she's able to do some pretty solid personal damage for a sustain, like geez. She's easily the sustain with the most stacked kit in the game. She's even able to offer some nice HP buffing, which as you can imagine, considering how the current meta really favors HP scalers, that is a very nice quality to have. She's easily the best in slot limited sustain for Casterus. Caster Sugar is able to build up her ult way quicker when Hyacine's around. But she's not only good for characters that function based on HP scaling, she's good for the Herda as well, because Hyacine likes to build a good chunk of speed. That means that Ika's gonna move a lot, and considering that Ika does a lot of AoE attacks, that's naturally gonna bode very well with the Herda. She also happens to pair pretty well with characters like Blade. And while she's a lot better for characters like Casterus over Mighty, you're still able to use her with the Crown Prince and enjoy the HP buffing. S tier for sure, the best limited sustain that we have as of now. Okay, Xuan just kinda sucks right now. She has lost so much of her value in my opinion. Attacks just hit way too hard nowadays for the way that her sustaining works. And you would honestly much rather use a shielder in her place. She sucks with most Amphorius units too. There's not any particular Amphorius unit that really likes her. All you can really use her for is Mono Quantum Zilla. Yeah. Not even with Casterus because she wants a proper healer, not the small heals that Xuan is able to provide. Unfortunately, her sustaining is just really outdated. D tier. I would argue that she is the worst limited sustain in the game right now. Aventurine, my goat. I love this guy. Honestly, the only reason that I think he's not particularly deserving of S tier like he was back in 2.0 is because healers are very favored right now, but his actual kit is really solid. He's able to do some personal damage. Yes, it's not as impressive as Hyacine's personal damage, but it's definitely still there. In fact, it can be especially nice if you have Robin in the team. His ult is able to apply debuff to the enemy, which makes him take more crit damage. That not only means that he's good for any character that deals crit damage in general, but it also means he can generate more Acheron stacks. And I would say that with the correct level of investment, Acheron is still a perfectly relevant unit. So honestly, that's not a bad synergy to have at all. And consider that his follow-up attacks are AoE. You know who likes that? The Herda, a character that is currently very good in all of HSR's endgame modes at the minute. Considering how fast-moving the meta currently is, she's been very consistent across all modes so far. He still remains as being an excellent choice for all follow-up attack DPSs. And Fei Xiao's still pretty good in APOC. He's also not too bad in DPS and Exagerous teams. And if there's one thing that has not changed about this guy, he remains as being insanely tanky. It is ridiculous how strong his shield is. If you use his skill twice, you've got yourself an insurmountable wall. Even just the shield that he builds up from using his follow-up attacks consistently is very, very strong. Back at 2.0, his shield was super overkill, and even now, with these enemies that hit really, really hard, his shield is still incredible. Yes, he doesn't particularly bode well with characters like Mighty or Casterus, but for basically any unit that isn't HP scaling or doesn't want to get hit, he's still really, really good. I personally hold the belief that if shielders get really into fashion again, then Aventurine is going to shoot right up to S tier once more. HuoHuoverse gave him such a freaking good kit that the only way to make him worse is by making DPSs that don't particularly want him. As a sustain, this guy is stacked. I'm going to be saying that he's A tier as of now, but I would not be surprised if in the future he reaches S tier again. His kit is just that good. Then we move on to Lingsha. She's pretty busted in break teams, but break kinda sucks as of now. However, that does not mean that she's bad whatsoever, because she still has excellent qualities outside of break teams. She is quite heavy on the skill points, but consider that basically every main DPS that we've been getting recently is very, very lenient when it comes to skill point management. Her healing is very good, and she's able to consistently cleanse all of your teammates. She's also the Herda's second best healer, falling behind Hyacine. Because as we all know, the Herda loves her AoE-based attacks. She's also still freaking busted for Pure Fiction. If it's a Fire Week Pure Fiction, Lingsha is still going to carry you. She is fantastic for taking out waves of Fire Week trash mobs. Honestly, her own break damage in general is pretty good if you're fighting Fire Week enemies. She's of course excellent for Rappa, and while she does have skill point issues with Firefly, she's still very viable with her. But like I said earlier, break teams kinda suck right now, but being good with the Herda is a very big deal. And much like Luocha, she's just a great generalist healer. If you need heal somewhere, then Lingsha's gonna do the job just fine. It's just that unlike Luocha, she actually has some good specialized synergies. She's going into A tier for sure. Healers are more valuable than shielders at the minute, so I'm going to be putting her above Aventurine. Then for HuoHuo, she's a pretty great teammate for Aglaia, because she's able to provide her with a whole ton of energy. And that lady is very energy hungry. That lady also happens to be one of the strongest DPSs at the minute. And with that being said, HuoHuo ends up being good for basically any energy hungry DPS. She's also able to offer some attack buffs with her ult, which is very handy if you're playing a DPS that scales on attack. This also benefits Aglaia, which is very nice, and she has super consistent cleansing. Now at E0, she does drain skill points like there's no tomorrow, it's kind of nuts, but if you're able to manage that, then she ends up being a good sustain. She is really good for DOT teams too. I do want to throw this in there as somebody who is a former very dedicated dot main, because wow, holy attack buffs, and the energy is very, very nice for triggering more Kafka bursts, which means more DOTs. Yes, DOT is literally bricks right now, but Kafka's getting buffed soon. I'm not going to factor this into HuoHuo's current value, but I do expect her value to rise soon in the near future. Another thing is that she isn't really all that with the current HP scalers that are meta right now, such as Mighty and Casterus, because the attack buffs are basically useless in those cases. And sadly, her energy restoration is pretty much wasted on any character that doesn't use traditional energy mechanics, such as Acheron, Fei Xiao, or Casterus. And really, she only has one truly meta team at the minute with Aglaia. I guess you could argue A tier on that basis considering how good Aglaia is at the minute, but B tier. But to be honest with you, she does have the potential to move up if we get more main DPSs that really want energy and attack at the same time. Then we reach the 4-star that honestly deserves 5-star status, Gallagher. This guy is way too good to be a 4-star, it's kind of ridiculous. He has insane healing for a 4-star, he can cleanse with his E2 which is nice, and we're considering him at E6 here because he's a 4-star. He cooks in break teams which, although they're not very good, it's pretty impressive how he's able to perform on par with Lingsha. And he honestly deserves all of the glaze that people throw at him all the time. He cooks with Casterus, he outvalues Luocha, the 5-star limited sustain, and he gives Lingsha a run for her money. Him being able to apply debuffs makes him good for Acheron, and he's also an excellently skill point efficient unit. Now once again, being skill point efficient isn't all that needed right now, but considering how he's flexible with basically every team in the game, I'd say him being so skill point efficient is quite the convenience. He's also able to offer team-wide healing, which is very, very nice. He's going to the top of A tier. It's kind of crazy how immune to power creep this guy is. He diffs literally every other limited sustain except the newest one. I would say that's quite impressive. All in all, it's not really that surprising that Hyacine is the current best limited sustain. After all, she was made the most recently, therefore she has the most overloaded kit and works the best of the current meta units. Not that surprising. It's still interesting to me to see how characters like Xuan have fallen off so hard, and to see how characters like Luocha have had a slight resurgence in viability in recent times. Sustains are easily the most consistent class in Star Rail. It feels like none of them are truly bad units. As long as you have a combination of some of them, your account's pretty much going to be fine. Xuan's truly the only one that I would say is genuinely just bad at the minute. The rest of them are quite frankly pretty good in their own right. But how about yourself? What do you think? Are we on the same page, or do you have a differing opinion? Let me know down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. As always, I have a ZZZ second channel. Head on over and subscribe if you're interested in some fun, silly ZZZ content. I'd also like to mention that I stream on Twitch. I stream once a week every week on Saturdays, starting from pre-PK time. Come along so we can play Wuthering Waves, ZZZ, do some more fun stuff together. Hopefully this video was able to help you decide who Honkai Star Rail's best limited sustain is. This has been Juice, signing out, and let's be real, nothing's changed. Because Gallagher is ultimately still the GOAT.